Hi, I am Jason. I'm 53 years old and I have stage 4 prostate cancer that's metastasized to my spine, and on this channel we talk about it. Today we're going to do a deep dive on a medication that plays a key role in managing cancer-related symptoms, prednisone. A lot of us get prescribed that as part of our androgen deprivation therapy.
Welcome to Prostate Cancer, the road to recovery with Jason Stone, a stage 4 fighter. This podcast brings you support and insights from survivors, fighters, and medical experts. Join us for an educational and inspiring journey.
But first, an update on me. Now, in an earlier video, I'd mentioned that I was having some additional symptoms that were worrisome. I needed to go get checked out. I was having some pelvic pains. I was having some twinges, some lower back additional pain. A lot of this similar symptoms to what I had that sent me to the doctor to get diagnosed the first time. So I brought all that up to my medical oncologist. And my medical oncologist said, hey, let's do an MRI. Let's find out. Let's see if there are any new mets. And that's kind of what I was expecting. I was expecting to see that the cancer was on the move and that there were new mets. Because it felt like it was on the move. It felt like I was feeling better. I felt, which means I was probably more resistant to the Zytiga and the Lupron. Maybe the Lupron was starting to wear off, or I was becoming the dreaded castrate resistant. And so all that got into my head. I was getting really worried, and I went and got an MRI. I got an MRI on my lower back. So good news. It said that there was no spread from the tumor. There was no spread, no additional mets on my pelvis or any, and I didn't have any on my pelvis the first time. It was in my L1 on my lumbar. If you haven't been following the other videos and audios, I had a 3 centimeter by 2 centimeter tumor on my L1 vertebrae on my spine. This MRI shows that it has reduced down to 1.2 centimeters by 1.1 centimeters. That is, if you look at the surface area, that's a reduction of over 4 centimeters squared on that tumor. Now, I don't know how deep the tumor was. I don't know what the volume of the tumor was. But assuming it was roughly similar, even if it was 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters, that means that the new size of my tumor is roughly 1/10 the volume of the original one. 1/10. That is the first real validation I have that this treatment is working. It's the first real evidence that the zapped tumors are actually shrinking and healing. And I don't have the words for how good that makes me feel. Was I hoping that it would come back with none? No, I wasn't that hopeful. Because the cancer, I know, is still there, but to know that it's shrunk by down to 1/10 its original size. It's 90% smaller. Holy smokes. So that's good news. So that's inspired me to clean up some sloppiness that's slipped back into my diet and exercise. Here's the tough part. We're in a mental game as much as we are a physical battle. Mental battle as much as we are a physical battle. And the little things that can go wrong challenge our ability to continue fighting. And it's tough. We're putting so much energy into this that it doesn't take much of a setback or a perceived setback. And that's where I landed. That's the problem I had, was a perceived setback. The perceived setback was that I feel like my cancer's on the move, and I feel like I'm becoming castrate resistant. I feel these new pains. I feel these new twinges, and that kind of gave me so why am I trying with the diet, the exercise, and everything? And I let my diet and my exercise slip quite a bit. But this is renewed inspiration. This is renewed validation that this works. Your diet and your exercise along with the treatment actually works. So, all right, let's get back on the main topic, prednisone. So I've talked about Zytiga a little bit, I've talked about Lupron a little bit, but we haven't really dwelled on prednisone. Why is it here? What does it do? Why are we taking it? So many of us are prescribed prednisone as part of our treatment. It's required with drugs like Zytiga, which is a brand of abiraterone, which blocks production of testosterone at 3 sources. Let's see, it blocks production at the testicles, right, which is the primary source. But your tumor can also create testosterone. And so Zytiga prevents your tumor from creating testosterone. And your adrenal glands can create testosterone. This blocks your adrenal gland function from producing testosterone. So that's why we're prescribed prednisone. Now, prednisone and Zytiga are tough drugs. They're rough on you. So, in fact, there's a warning on the Zytiga website that reads, and I'm going to read this quote right off their website, the Zytiga website. Take your prednisone exactly how your healthcare provider tells you to. Do not stop taking your prescribed dose of Zytiga or prednisone without talking to your healthcare provider first. It tells you that the side effects, that's the quote, it tells you that the side effects of Zytiga can be life-threatening, which is where prednisone steps in. Prednisone helps reduce the life-threatening aspect of the Zytiga. What a mess we're in. So prednisone is a corticosteroid which reduces inflammation and suppresses the immune system. Its role when prescribed with abiraterone is to counteract side effects such as high blood pressure, low potassium levels, and fluid retention. Because that's what happens with the Zytiga, some of the side effects. But it also helps recover normal corticosteroid levels. So if you think cortisol, now high cortisol levels are bad. It can result in weight gain around the middle. High cortisol levels, which comes from stress, is what a lot of people think, are starting to think, hey, maybe this is part of America's obesity problem besides all the crappy food, is the stress levels. But so think cortisol, that's what we're talking about, corticosteroid. You have to have some levels, but too much is bad, but too little is also really bad. So prednisone helps level out, recover some of the corticosteroid, the cortisol levels. Prednisone comes with its own side effects. So you should know up front that most of the risk of prednisone side effects we're going to talk about are reduced significantly by the dose usually prescribed with Zytiga. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to read a bunch of bad side effects. Though the risk of those side effects is reduced because of the dose we're usually put on. So don't go thinking that I'm going to suddenly get all these side effects, right? These are things just to watch for. So, for example, doses. When prescribed for other conditions, they'll prescribe doses of anywhere from 20 milligrams a day to 60 milligrams a day. But when prescribed along Zytiga, they'll prescribe 5 to 10 milligrams of prednisone a day. So that side effect risk is a lot lower. Now, you should keep an eye out for these just in case. Again, at higher doses, the side effects will be worse or more likely than the doses prescribed as part of our ADT treatment. Some immediate side effects can be an increased appetite and weight gain along with some insomnia. I saw that initially with when I started taking the steroid, my appetite I did see an increase in appetite. I haven't seen the weight gain yet, but I was exercising. So to fight the weight gain, it's important to exercise consistently. It's important to walk every day, do some weight-bearing exercises, get some dumbbells or whatever you got around the house or yard, lift some kids, whatever you got to do some weight-bearing exercises, and then get outside and walk every day. All right, that will help with the appetite. That will help with the weight gain. As far as the insomnia, it has been recommended by medical doctors that taking melatonin at night can help. my medical oncologist said, hey, you're taking melatonin. Good. Because I was already taking it, but I was taking 5 milligrams a night. And I've upped it to 10 milligrams a night. So how is that working for me? When I don't take the melatonin, I sleep 2 to 3 hours. I'm up for an hour or so. I sleep 2 to 3 hours. I'm up for an hour. I sleep maybe 2 hours, and then I'm up. And it's crappy sleep, and I am non-functional, basically non-functional. With the melatonin, I'm taking 10 milligrams a night, and I'm sleeping 8 to 9 hours a night. And I usually get up maybe about half the time. I get up once to go pee, once, and that's good because you need to be asleep for your body to do a great deal of its recovery and healing process. So okay. So those are some of the immediate side effects you can experience, and it's important to exercise and consider taking melatonin. So some side effects that can show up within a few months include increases in blood sugar levels and an increased risk of infections. So to fight the blood sugar levels, a low sugar to no sugar diet can really help, which you should be doing anyway. You have cancer. What the frick? Stop the sugar. Those guys saying eat what you want aren't managing their symptoms or risk of side effects very well. And the people that stop the sugar and manage their side effects and have the exercise and a good diet. What is a good diet? I did a whole video on that. It can be, a lot of people say it's a plant-based diet. A lot of other people say it's a keto-like diet. One of the keys is be careful about milk. I did a whole video on the difference between dairy and milk, because that was something I just learned a couple weeks ago. Was I had stopped dairy, but maybe I didn't need to stop all dairy, and it has to do with lactose. As lactose is glucose, lactose is sugar, and milk has really high lactose levels, which is sugar levels. And so, but whereas the harder the cheese, the less lactose it has. I had no idea. Not all cheese has significant levels of lactose. Like if a hard Parmesan, lactose intolerant people can eat a hard Parmesan. You want to grate some hard Parmesan on your salad? Go ahead. Anyway, all right. As far as the infections, because wash your hands often, stay away from sick people. I don't have a lot of advice there, and I'm not giving any medical advice. It's just, what am I doing? I am washing my hands more often. I'm staying away from sick people. I recently wore one of those stupid mask things for a little bit, but just because I was around somebody that had a known infection, and I don't want to get sick. So another short-term side effect is that some people see is mood swings with an increase in anxiety. I talked about this a little bit in another episode. I was seeing some initial mood swings, and it goes from, it's a weird when you say mood swings, because you're like, oh, you think they're going really happy to really sad. No, it's when you're on ADT, androgen deprivation therapy, the peaks are more like, I feel something. And then you go from feeling something, not really happy, not really excited, not elated, you just feel something, to back to feeling nothing, or sad, depressed, lonely, crushed spirit, why am I doing this? That kind of stuff. Sorry. That's where we're at. And so those mood swings are, I feel something, to really down in the gutter, and it's frustrating. So what can you do? Well, proper diet and exercise, right? Keep your body in check and minimize the risk of mood swings. I've said this before. I'll keep saying it. This works. Walk every single day. Get outside. Get sunshine. That will help with the mood. That will help with the anxiety. If your anxiety levels are really high, and initially I had some really high anxiety levels, there are some things your doctor can prescribe to help with the anxiety. Well, when I first got my prescriptions, my prednisone, they also prescribed me prochlorperazine, which is for nausea, but it's also used to treat mild schizophrenia, which means reduced anxiety. So I was taking that for a little while, and they said, hey, you might want to just take this for its anti-anxiety effects. And I did, and it helped, and I was able to curb that. Now, just like we're going to talk about with prednisone, when you are done with any medication on this treatment, don't stop suddenly, okay? Stopping suddenly brings risk with it. So you want to taper off it. So I had to just taper off. And but that was very helpful to me, and so consider that. Think about where you're at with anxiety and talk to your doctor, talk to your medical oncologist. But if you're there, before you go talk to them, make sure you can answer, am I going outside every day and getting sunlight and going for a good walk? If the answer to that's no, start doing that anyway. Start doing that right away. All right, so finally, the longer term side effects, the longer term risks that may show up after a year or more on prednisone, because we're on this for a while, right? Most guys that are put on Zytiga and Lupron are on it for at least 6 months, usually a year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes longer. And so you're on this prednisone for longer, and the longer you're on it, the more side effects show up. So the longer term risks show up after a year or more are a lot less likely with the low dose we're on. So just remember that. These are some scary things, but the risk is really low. So cataracts and glaucoma. If you're on prednisone for a year or more, you have an increased risk of cataracts and glaucoma, along with a dependence on prednisone for your adrenal levels and a reduction in bone density. So osteoporosis is a risk. So for your eyes, get regular eye exams when you're taking prednisone. In fact, maybe if your insurance covers it, or you're able to, get double the frequency of your eye exams. Just keep them in close check. And then if symptoms start to show up, talk to your eye doctor, but also bring in your medical oncologist. Talk to them and say, okay, I've got these two competing things. What are we going to do about this? Maybe your medical oncologist hasn't really thought about it, and you're eligible for a break from the hormone therapy. And if they can wean you off the abiraterone and the Lupron and the prednisone, then you can work with your eye doctor and deal with the glaucoma, cataracts. As for the bone density or the adrenal function, as far as the adrenal function, the only real thing you can do is work with your healthcare provider. Slowly wean off the prednisone, tapering the doses down to allow your adrenal glands to start working again. Never just stop taking prednisone. Never just stop it. Make sure you take it exactly as prescribed. Take it with your Zytiga, your abiraterone, and don't just stop. As far as the bone density issues, doing weight-bearing exercises to keep your bones strong, get plenty of calcium in your diet. Now, like I said, milk has a high in lactose. Don't do milk. Get your calcium through supplements or non-dairy sources. One of the things I use for my daily smoothie is I use cashew milk. Now, a lot of people will tell you nuts, any type of nut, whether it's cashew, almonds, whatever, can be causes of inflammation. So you have to be careful. Now I don't eat nuts as part of my daily diet, and I don't have the symptoms from doing the cashew milk. So I think I'm okay with the cashew milk, and it's high in calcium. So consider some non-dairy sources for your calcium, but make sure you're getting calcium. And back to the low potassium levels that can be caused from the abiraterone, I eat a banana, I eat an orange, and I eat an apple every single day. Every single day. My potassium levels are good. My calcium levels are good. So Yeah. It's important to mention that the individual responses to prednisone vary greatly. And what one person experiences doesn't mean everyone's going to experience the same thing. Just because you did a thing and it worked doesn't mean that that same thing is going to be for me. And unfortunately, that comes into play with the medications we're on, with the diet we're in, all of it. So your diet and exercise play a key role in managing those side effects. Remember, all of this is already minimized due to the low dose we're prescribed, usually 5 to 10 milligrams a day. So this is the end of episode 21, and I wasn't sure I was ever going to do one past 20, but I did. Apparently, I decided I would, and I appreciate the following, the follows, the comments. I hope I've seen and responded to every comment. I love engaging with you. I've only ever had to block one person, and I wish I didn't have to do that. You know, I appreciate the engaging dialogue. We have differences in opinions, and it's okay. It's okay because, yeah, it's okay. It's important to talk through it, and maybe I'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn something. Who knows? Maybe we'll try something new, and that's what's important. So I appreciate all the follows. I appreciate the help you guys have given me. I appreciate your support, and thank you. So please like, follow, subscribe. I guess subscribe is the right word for YouTube, huh? And share this with others. If you know somebody going through prostate cancer, please share this with them. All right, you guys all take care. Love you all.